Everybody, welcome to another edition of What's What BR. We have a very special guest for anybody who hasn't recognized the picture on the show here today. We have Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome with us today. She is BR. What's What BR? We have, our leader here with us today. How are you, Ms. Broome? How are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to be on here to share with your audience today. A lot going on in Baton Rouge.
There is a lot happening, and opposed to the weather we had where we, froze over, and we've had some really good one. I'd tell people I'd write checks for weather like we're having today, if at all
Yeah.
possible. So it's wonderful. So we're going to go through and try to cover a whole bunch. I usually tell everybody at the end, but this is absolutely, you have a lot more important things to do than talk to me. So I appreciate the time. We'll run through this. Talk about a couple things, some initiatives that are going on, some things that are changing that a lot of people just you can't pick it up in the minute or two that you hear about it or something like that. And so, just kind of out of the gate, I just wanted to kind of jump in and, it's, first and foremost is we have this neighborhood engagement, hub, which is new to Baton Rouge. Can you fill us in on kind of what it is and why and how we got here?
I am real excited about our neighborhood engagement hub. I believe in order for us to have the thriving communities that all of us desire, what I describe as a city of peace, prosperity, and progress, it takes all of us working together. It takes government, it takes our citizens, it takes business community, it takes our nonprofits, it takes our faith community. And so the neighborhood engagement hub is one of our central strategies around our safe, hopeful, and healthy initiative. When we look at issues, as I said, facing our community, we can realize that they are all interconnected. And so that we don't exist in silos, neither do our issues really. So when we talk about public safety, when we talk about health and education and quality of life, they're all shaped by our social conditions that exist within our community. So our safe, hopeful, and healthy initiative, it is designed to help cure the conditions that undermine Baton Rouge's ability to thrive.
That's amazing. And these are some big steps. These aren't little things that you guys have done. I've been seeing things, not to derail us, but we've recently seen, open budget come out where we, open doors for everybody. It seems some of these, projects that you've, kind of led the way and pushed through, it's about communication and opening up and, letting people see what's going on and just this community hub everywhere from cleanup efforts to, tool lending programs. It's just, there's so many different pieces that, kind of cogs in the wheel, but they make overall, it's what makes the city a better city. You can't, people don't realize, and we'll get to, I'm just thinking one of the things I wanted to talk to you today was about, the litter, we'll get there, but it's picking up that one piece of trash makes a difference. It's these little projects of cleaning up those corners that they all add up at the end of the day. It's like a puzzle, right? The one little puzzle piece doesn't really seem like much, but when you put them all together, it starts making a difference. And so,
Yeah, so you said something that is really key to our whole conversation, and that's communication. And that is what the neighborhood engagement hub is. You talked about our open checkbook, open data. City, since I've been in office, I have been very intentional about being transparent, but not only being transparent, about opening the lines of communication between our office, our activities, our initiatives, and the citizens. So our neighborhood engagement hub is online. It's housed at our safe, hopeful neighborhoods.com, safehopefulneighborhoods.com. And so through connecting with safehopefulneighborhoods.com, you will go to the neighborhood engagement hub. You can find opportunities, just as you mentioned, for training, for cleanups, for ways to connect with our city parish government. It serves as a central location for all of our tools to address quality of place issues. And at the end of the day, we want to empower our residents to engage in the change that we wish to see in Baton Rouge, a goal that we all have, in addition to the work that we do every day as local government. And so I'm really pushing the neighborhood engagement hub because I want our residents to go there, to sign up, to get engaged, to receive updates on our upcoming projects that they can engage in. In fact, we're having our first Operation Cleanup is on April the 10th, and people can sign up there at our neighborhood engagement hub. And we're going to have two initiatives coming in April. One is the Operation Cleanup. And then after that, we're going to have our Blight Boot Camp. That sounds exciting, doesn't it? A Blight
Okay.
Camp. But if people visit that website, they can connect with those projects and find other information as well.
I think it's funny, you know, we just had Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser on a couple of days ago, and he was talking about, you know, the, you know, blight and, you know, clean. It makes a world of a difference, you know, when people, you know, when you exit that exit ramp, you know, and when people are driving through, we've got this huge thoroughfare, you know, we're I-10, we're right in the center. When people, you know, jump off the interstate to get gas or, you know, to stop and grab a bite to eat, we're leaving a memory, you know, with them. And so it's, what do we want to do? You know, how do we want to, what impression do we want to leave on somebody? Do we want someone to go, hey, that was they had really good food, but it was kind of dirty, you know, or do I want to come back? Or, you know, do they make it a point to stop back on their way when they come back through? Or do they, you know, tell people? And so I think the blight, you know, and the litter we just talked about, that makes a big difference, you know, and finding ways for people to learn how they can help. You know, I think I'd read, you know, that there's, you know, 25, you know, residential leaders, you know, that have, you know, coming in to make a change, and we had to train, you know, some of these it's like, you can't expect, you know, we can't expect government to go do it all for us, right? You know, government's to help, in my, you know, opinion, kind of help facilitate it. We'll find you the tools, we'll get you the things, and we can do a lot, but you got to do something too, you know,
Yeah.
pick it up.
Yeah, you know, I'm not I'm not a leader in denial, right? I understand that litter is an issue that we have to get a grip on. And when I started my new term, I said that eradicating litter and blight is one of my top priorities of this term. And we are using a strategy to address litter. You know, you're right about first impressions and the role that a clean city plays in attracting folks to your city. It's all about quality of place. So what we're doing, part of our strategy, this is not the entire strategy, but we're doing strategic street sweeping. We're increasing our number of street sweepers in East Baton Rouge Parish. We have a dedicated litter crew. Our Department of Public Works is doing weekend litter cleanups. And so far, our team has collected over 1,000 bags of trash in the last 3 weeks across East Baton Rouge
Oh my
Parish,
gosh.
with 395 bags this past weekend alone. Now, I share those because something else you may not know about me, but I'm big on data. Data is so important because it's one thing for me to just make a statement and say, oh, we're cleaning up litter, but it's another for me to have data to back up what we're doing. Not only does it back up and support what we're doing, it shows where we need to have improvement, right? So believe it or not, through our information services office, we have GIS mapping, which also helps us in a lot of areas of city parish government, including the Department of Public Works and our cleanup efforts. So that, you know, technology is an integral part of what we do. Data is really important to be successful and effective. Collecting that data and translating it so we can use it for our benefit.
That's a lot of bags. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a, you know, it's kind of one of those double-edged swords. It's like that's awesome that we picked up that much trash.
But it's a shame
bad
we
that we
have
picked
that
up
much
that much trash.
trash. Yeah.
And
Right.
I'll say, what maybe you can't say, and I've told, while we're on the subject, I think, it's one thing to pick it up, but it's another thing, us, I'm a parent. We have parenting magazine, Veterans Parents Magazine as well. It's our job as parents to pass, like when your kid drops something, pick it up. When you're walking in the store and you see some trash man, pick it up. Teach your kids. If we can get that done, we got the collection problem, but maybe, if we don't do that, we're just going to continue. We don't solve the problem. We treat the symptom, right? So it's, raise your kids right. Tell them to pick up some trash. Don't throw that on the floor. And so help me if you see you throw it out your window. It,
Yeah.
that's part of the problem too. And I can just
You're
maybe be more
absolutely
blunt
right.
about it.
You're absolutely right. It's part of the problem. Um, and I don't use this as an excuse, but it's true that unfortunately we have a culture of littering in our in our state and in our community. For I don't know where it came from, if it accrued or evolved, but somewhere along the journey, people have felt like it's okay to throw trash out of your car, to walk and throw trash. And so I believe that one of the key areas where we can transform this mindset of littering that exists is through public education, encouraging the general public to reduce and properly dispose of their litter. That's important. Taking that education to the classrooms as well, because I've found that if you have students who are encouraging their parents, then that can go a long way. Is also, what people don't realize is that the impact of litter is so far reaching. I mean, you see it certainly on the lawn or on the sidewalk or in the street, but that litter is also responsible. I'm sorry, that litter also gets into our waterways, right?
Mhm.
It is responsible for intruding in our water our water ways. And so we're posting no littering signs at intersections, at interstate, where there's a high level of litter.
Well, like I said, I think it comes back. I think children learn by watching.
Yeah.
It's people wouldn't probably know unless they know me personally. When watching the show, I've got a pretty, I don't have some of those bad words fall out of my mouth, but I'm not going to lie, they do occasionally. And my kids, even my young ones, they'll pop right back language, and it's like, oh, you're right. And my kids know, if they drop something, even if the wind's blowing it, you need to go chase it down and pick it up. And they learn by watching. When you roll that trash can back up and some of it maybe fell out and they see you pick it up, they're learning something there. Nobody sits down and has a litter talk, with their kid. It's just, but they learn when you drop, you pick it up. If you let it blow off or, it hits in the cart. So I think it's amazing what, what you got going, but then also parents, let's teach our kids, have the litter talk, sit down, look, we're not going to, when they drop something, hey, go pick that up. That's not, they go, oh, it's okay. No, it's a big deal. Go pick it
Yeah.
up. So
It's accountability, and it starts young. That accountability and that education really starts young. Um, at the end of the day, though, we have to remember that litter is an adult problem. It's not the kid. It's not a kid's problem. It's really an adult problem, and so we've got to adults have to be responsible as parents. Speaking of parents,
mhm,
they have to be responsible in leading the way as well. But
exactly.
so we have to be cognizant of that.
Well, I think we beat that up to death, but some of the others I wanted to make sure because your time is valuable, but we've got some of these community projects. One of them that I thought was real interesting that a lot of people, maybe, oh, well, we don't have the tool to do this project. We don't have that, there's a tool lending program, that if you see that corner, or if you've got a group of you that say, you know what, hey, I'm tired of, I've said it before. There's certain like I'm tired of driving past looking at this, and it's like quit saying it, do something. Find a couple people together, even if you don't have the right tool. You guys have rolled out, introduced, this lending program, for community
Absolutely.
projects. Not to mention the there's some grants that are out there that they
Absolutely.
can apply for.
Absolutely. Through our Safe, Hopeful, and Healthy initiative, which I was sharing with you, um, we're taking a comprehensive of what I like to say a holistic approach to addressing public safety, and that's the Safe, Hopeful, and Healthy initiative. Now that is happening. Our neighborhood engagement hub is under the umbrella of our Safe, Hopeful, and Healthy initiative. I wanted to talk a little bit about how through our Safe, Hopeful, and Healthy initiative, we are giving out grants. Also, what we're doing is we're training neighborhood leaders. We're training
Hmm.
neighborhood leaders. We're training people to be leaders in their neighborhood. Sometimes, we all know those leaders in the neighborhood, right? They're the people who keep everybody in the loop in the block, tell everybody what's going on, what's the latest. Now, of course, they have next door neighbor, is that what it's called, or next door, where people
Oh,
communicate.
the app where everyone
Yeah,
complains,
people
about
communicate.
things.
People communicate a lot on that. But there's some people in my neighborhood who I know are, I'm going to call them the connectors, right? They
Hmm.
connect the people in the neighborhood, and so we have training for individuals like that, who want to be neighborhood leaders. We also will be training what we call violence interrupters, people who can help us be proactive to abort violence that may be emerging in a neighborhood or a community. And we're taking the safe, hopeful, and healthy message into the schools as well. So we're going into all the different areas to make sure we make connections in our public safety space. It's law enforcement and the citizens as well working hand to hand. And all of these things that I've been talking about, whether it's our neighborhood engagement hub under Safe, Hopeful, Healthy, public safety, all of it intersects and is part of the puzzle, if you will, of
Hmm.
having a thriving community. And there's so much what I would describe as intersectionality between all of those issues.
Yeah, everything has to work together. You can't have, you could have the safest, city around, but
Hmm.
if it was covered in litter everywhere and trash all over, people don't want to be there.
Correct.
If you got the most beautiful city in the world, but the reciprocal, if it's just ravaged with crime, people don't want to do
That's
it.
right. That's
And
right.
if people, I think, start to take, some pride, and these leaders can step up and they've got access to tools and they've got some grants for some programs that they'd
Right.
like to apply for to get, this is not, $50 grants. When I was looking at it, this is, up to $5,000 for a project,
Right.
potentially to, make some of this stuff happen. And I think what you're saying is it's the way when I talk about some of the initiatives kind of in the business world, it's what is the way I say it, they collapse and fold on top of each other.
Right.
If you get your neighborhood, if you get your house in order and you teach your kids not to litter, you're going to be mad when you see it on the front street. So you're going to pick it up and the next guy sees you do it and that picks it up. And then the neighborhood gets a little bit, gets a little better. And you got some leaders that are helping talk to people. And then people are saying, hey, this is our neighborhood. We respect it, and we want you to respect it too. And so we don't want the crime, here.
Yeah.
All of this just falls one on top of the other to where, and they kind of somehow, from my unprofessional show, segue us, kind of into you get all this stuff, you start feeling good and you've got your stuff there. that gets you into maybe where, hey, I've taken care of my house. Now it's time to take care of me. And I don't know if we talked about this before, but to kind of come, I know you've been a big proponent on, the healthy BR,
Yeah.
of really making, the person, the individual. And I think that's, in my mind, maybe I'm, drawing too far lines, but it falls over onto that to where, hey, I've done all this, our community's safer, our streets are better, things that, hey, it's my time now. What do I need to do to take care of myself?
But
So
I'm so glad you brought that up, because what I often say is our Healthy BR program is a gem that that people sometimes don't realize we have. And when I became mayor, I had certain goals where that I wanted to see accomplished within our Mayor's Healthy City Initiative, or as I said, we call it Healthy BR. And it was certainly to elevate Healthy BR more than just having a health fair once a year. And so now, under the leadership of Jared Heimowitz, Healthy BR is involved in so many spaces. And, we encourage people. Now, we can't mandate that folks do these things, right? And
put
that's
that
not
food down.
yeah, that's not our goal. But we do believe that a healthy community is a happy community. And so through our Healthy BR program, we find activities or events, or we created events for our citizens. We also have some connections with helping people eat healthy. We have partnerships now with Pennington. We have partnerships with Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Humana. We have our community gardens. I would love for people to see some of our community gardens. We have one at Howell Place, and we have one at Capitol High School, as well as now I think Glen Oaks High School. We have our farmers markets, and so we have so many different opportunities for people to improve their health or be in a healthy space. And it's, as I said, it's not that we're trying to dictate anything. We're trying to offer opportunities. We did a community health needs assessment. We're one of the few cities that has done a community health needs assessment. And the community health needs assessment defines our hospital services. It shows us what our health needs are as a community, and how we are working together with our hospital and medical community to achieve those issues that emerge from the community health needs assessment. So, I'm so excited about our Healthy BR. Now, I'll tell you, I don't know if you know this about me, but God, the time passes. I want to say 2017, 2018, I started on my own personal weight loss journey. I decided to lead by example.
I was going to try to segue and said, because I remembered, I was going to say, you really put, with the rubber meets the road. And if this is the right story, you got on the bike, if I remember right.
Yeah, I did some of everything. I stopped eating so much. I watched what well, another little known fact about the mayor, I'm a pescatarian. So I have been a pescatarian for probably 15 years now. And but the only thing is, I have been a pescatarian who never saw a carbohydrate that she did not like. So, I ate fish, I eat fish and seafood, but I was also eating, I'm not going to give them a plug, but a certain French fry that I couldn't resist. So, after meetings at night, you know what I was doing? I was stopping at this burger place that I'm not going to mention that has some delicious French fries. And that's how I would reward myself with those. Every time I think about them, I get excited because they're the best fries in the world. So I would stop and
Mhm.
get fries late at night after long meetings, after a long day. And that would be how I would reward myself. Well, I was eating fish and eating seafood, not eating meat, not eating pork and beef, etc. But those potatoes were putting on the pounds. And so if you look at my face, I was looking at some pictures about 5 years ago. My face was a little bit fuller then, as well as my body. But I decided to um, go on Weight Watchers. I don't, I'm not trying to give them a plug, but I did. And then, as you said, I started being active. I did bike riding. I did wall climbing with students. I went to a fourth grade gym class. I walked. I love to walk. So all of that was working together. And before I knew it, I had lost 30 pounds.
Wow.
Now, have I been keeping out off those 30 pounds? I would say within a 5 to 7 pound range I have, which is not bad.
Hmm.
So I'm not where I was when I started the journey for sure, but I'm still within a reasonable range. So,
It's,
but it's
I,
work.
I think people are saying, because I'm not going down top, but it's the COVID-19. You can put on 19 during COVID. That's what it is. And then you got
Okay,
to go back and lose it.
I have not done that, and
So
but I can see how it's easy to do
it
because
is.
I'm
It's,
not as active. I have not been as active in the past year as I was prior to dealing with COVID, but I really have been watching it. Somebody sent me something the other day. I'm gonna share it with you. It's so funny. You may have seen it. I said, I need to social distance myself from the refrigerator so I can flatten the curve.
I like that. I think we're going to, I think we should put a sign on the refrigerator that's, says that. That would be,
I need to social
uh,
distance myself from the refrigerator so I can flatten the curve.
that's funny. Yeah, no, I think it's hard. You're more important and busier than I am, I'm sure, but and I find myself to be pretty busy. It's hard sometimes, because everybody wants a meeting, and now we're all sitting in front of Zoom, and then we're sitting in, boardrooms, and we're sitting in conference rooms. It's like, can we take this on the road? Can we just go walk down the street and
Yeah,
have this meeting? It's hard. And so, but I think, that's what's important is, like you said, not that we're forcing, healthy BR, telling people you have to do this, but it's saying, hey, we're taking an initiative, not just in the city, but also the citizens of the city. We're going to give you the resources. We're going to point you in the right direction. I think I'd read, and I don't know if it had any effect on it, but years ago I'd read and never heard the term, but it was called like a food desert, to
yes,
where it was
yes,
large chunks of our community don't have access to fresh produce.
yes.
And I'll tell you, I've got the very first person that came on this show when I started doing this is a friend of mine, and he was telling me, you know, there was a story about someone in his office and their mother, they weren't from here. They had moved, to the United States, and they were talking about, he goes, what's the most interesting thing? What do you find different? What amazes you the most? And it's just stuck with me. They said, everything you eat comes out of a box or a can. And I
Wow.
thought about it for a minute, and I was like, what are you talking about? And they were talking about how they would go to a market, and buy, like these produce stands. And that's kind of made me think about, and that's where at the time I've looked it up and saw, these food deserts where certain areas of town, like literally, if you wanted to go get fresh produce, you'd have to hoof it to the other side of town. And not that that's not possible. Maybe for some people it's harder, but it's a lot easier. It's like when we go to our kitchen in the middle of the night, it's a lot easier to grab a bag of chips than to
Yeah,
make a salad,
yeah.
and eat it. So,
And you bring up a very important point, which is something that we're also working on in our Mayor's Healthy City initiative, and it's called our Go Get Healthy program. And through that, we are working to close the food desert or grocery gap in our communities. We were able to get a grant and support from the Blue Cross Louisiana Foundation and Humana Foundation. And so through that, as I said, we have programs such as our Baton Roots, which is an urban farm and community garden at Howell Place, Harmony Garden, community gardens. They're open to the community. That's done with Baton Roots. In addition, we have a program called Top Box, which is bringing fresh fruits and vegetables and other foods in a box where you can have a meal or several meals. And then they are connecting to certain locations like community centers or churches, and people can order and pick up their boxes of food. So let's just say there is a gap, a grocery gap that exists in your community. Well, then we bring the food there. So
Yeah.
people can have it. And we've really been focusing on some specific areas like 70805, where we know, but in addition that there's a gap. But in addition to that, I have been actively pursuing a grocery store, standing up a grocery store within the communities of disinvestment. So to close that grocery gap or that
No.
food desert, as you describe it.
It makes a difference, and I don't. Hopefully, nobody that owns the gas station doesn't get mad at me. But as a kid, I can remember, just eat like it was lunch. I could stop at a gas station and get whatever food there. But that's the last place I want to grab lunch right now at this point in my life. And then if we don't have, and if that's your choice to run into the corner store or the gas station and grab something versus you got to hoof it all the way across town to get some, that literally can impact someone's life. And so I think that makes a big difference. And so
Yeah, one of the things that we did to try to insert healthy foods into some stores that are common in a lot of communities was to reach out to the folks at Dollar General. We did have communications with them. We talked to them. We learned that they have a model in some other states where they put fruits and vegetables in their stores. And so I reached out to the people at Dollar General. They agreed to start that process in some of their stores here. And so now in several of the Dollar General stores, they are offering fresh fruits and vegetables. And I mean, it's a very nice, clean setup with plenty of fresh, vibrant fruits and vegetables. And so while we still work on putting grocery stores in those areas of disinvestment, you have to be creative and innovative. And so we realized that Dollar General stores are all over the place. And so when we reached out, found out about that model, we were able to get them to buy in to be a partner with us here in Baton Rouge. And that's been a great partnership.
Well, and I think, as a testament to you and your team, I think that's the things and this right here, that kind of moment is what I like about, this show is that's not front page on a newspaper, that's not top of the line, but it's like, look, your local, our mayor, her and her team, they reached out, they called the business owners. Those are privately owned businesses. They're not government entities. It's not a grant program. It's like, hey, I got an idea. Why don't you start selling some produce? That's the heart to me of what this is, where people can really find out and go, that made a difference. So if you're watching, when you hit, you run into one of those Dollar Generals, that wasn't a federal program. That wasn't somebody at corporate Dollar General said, hey, I bet we can make money off of carrots. That was your local, government, your office, your team saying, hey, we see a problem. We see a bunch of Dollar Generals. We can maybe fix this. Let's pick up a phone. Let's have a meeting. And there's no legislation that's got to pass on something like that. There's no politics. It's like, hey, this is just a good thing for you to do, and we'd encourage you to do it. And it happens.
Yeah.
That's, what makes the difference.
In fact, we were recognized by the U.S. Conference of Mayors for this partnership with Dollar General. And so it's really innovative. And this collaboration with Dollar General has certainly been key to advancing our mission through our Go Get Healthy initiative. So it's been a real win. But like you said, it may have gone under the radar for people may not even be aware of it. Although, we
Mhm.
send out press releases, we try to let people know. But it's been recognized by the U.S. Conference of Mayors, this partnership.
That's about. I'm glad they recognize it, but it's hard to sometimes get that information all the way down, and that's what we try to do here is to tell those. It's real stories from real people.
Yeah,
You're hitting or used to hit that place with the fries. Just like everybody else would. So
yeah.
it's amazing, and so I hope people recognize it and they realize the work that's done, and it's not always about the politics. It's about helping and really pushing these initiatives forward. So, but with all that, we could go all day on all these other different projects and everything. And I'll say it again: you got more important things to do than sit around and talk to me. But I appreciate you taking some time. I'd love for you to come back and we can uncover some more of these nuggets, of little bits and pieces that people know. I think it's important. It's an easy way to communicate. And I think people like what we found, people generally like, watching and feel that connection. And we like to, hear these stories and not hear like, for anybody who's wondering, today's, we're early March, but we're just skipping the COVID conversations today. We're not worried about those right now. This is about what's impacting us today and, what's going on in our community, which is important. So,
You know what I'd like to come back and talk about if you'd let me? Uh,
absolutely.
that is, since you all are partners with Parents Magazine, I think it's very important to talk about the Mayor's Summer Youth Program. Uh,
Okay.
we'll come back and when we get ready to roll that out, we'll
Hmm.
come back because I know your audience will be real interested in that program.
We've got a bunch of people that are asking. Our phones are ringing off the hook, with trying to find out what are we going to do. We talked a few months ago with Adam Knapp and his team over at the Chamber about how important summer camps and summer programs are to families in the community. And a lot of the business world didn't realize that until last year, to where when it was like, mom can't come to work because she's got two kids, at home, or hey, you're going to have to let me work from home. So it's a huge thing. So I know we'd absolutely love to have you come back, hear about that, hear about what else is going on, get some updates, on some of these things. So I'd love it. So,
Awesome, awesome.
well, I appreciate the time. I will let you run, and we'll do it again.
Sounds
So,
good. Thank you so much.
thank you.